So how did kind of the partnership with Alex, or the owner of the building, come about, as far as like, what were the kind of lease terms? You know, when commercial buildings, they're long leases, right? They're not residential. But I mean, you know, what, 5 years, 10 years? What's kind of like the lease structures you guys ended up working out?
So originally we had, you know, a fairly interesting lease where we were able to say, you know, be able to build out the space for no debt or no leasing terms on that side. Eventually the lease would be coming in and building. And what we've just recently learned by being in this business and being here is that a traditional lease doesn't work for a company like ours. What we see, and now what we're building as we're looking at expanding our company and to be able to growing, is that we see a lot more partnerships that are literally a revenue share for space. And we realize just how many commercial properties actually do that. Most movie theaters don't have a traditional lease. Grocery stores don't have a traditional lease. There's all of these companies that need giant buildings or giant space, and they're not paying the like per dollar square foot that other companies are. They have different arrangements and different ways. Like, you know, movie theater, it's because it builds your community. Everybody needs a movie theater. Everybody wants that, particularly before, you know, at least previously before Netflix and all of that was starting. But that's how they got started and how they were able to have a very expensive building in a fairly, you know, low margin business to be able to make that happen. And so kind of what we've learned, and as we're expanding Circuit Launch even more, is understanding that the rules that you think apply would be like, okay, I need to get a space, I need to lease it, I need to do that. Those things are often very malleable. And it's the blocks in our minds, what we think these business models, these traditional business models are, and saying, hey, is there a way to do something different? And that's kind of how our relationship with our members has been too. A lot of our members have been like, look, I don't just need a desk, or I don't just need an office. I need a place to be able to test my robot. I need to be able to put my prototype on the roof to test it out. Little things like that. And so we got into the business of trying to find ways, instead of just like with a knee-jerk reaction of saying no, like, how can we make them more successful by saying yes? And so our first reaction is always say yes, and it gets us in tons of trouble and tons of distractions and everything else. But what it does is it creates a community where people can trust that, you know, they can have crazy ideas, they can build businesses like that, and we can focus on startups that are going to have kind of non-traditional things. Like if somebody is going belly up in our spot, understanding how they're going to dissolve their company, and then how all the other community people benefit, because there's the knowledge and the work that they do doesn't just evaporate, it goes back into our community. We have so little churn rate because all of the people who come here, they stay here, even if it's not the company that succeeds. And so that's really been one of our successes, just saying yes to, you know, innovative and interesting ways of doing business. And that's the same thing that we did with our, you know, with our partner and the landlord and the owner of the building.
It's interesting because we, like, when I first started Airbnb, I was trying to structure deals to get small mom and pop landlords into it, right? Or even to reach out to commercial buildings and structure a deal that benefits both of us, because, you know, they're taking on liability, but I'm trying to say, hey, pass the liability off to me for a cheaper rent, right? And so one of the ways that was kind of a way to pitch landlords and commercial people was, hey, we would love to do a revenue share. Like, you can charge us below market rent, a couple $100s or whatever, but, you know, you can take 30% of profit above this amount of number or whatever. So coming up with creative ideas as far as pitching, and I think that worked really well for you. And that's very smart. Definitely. Cool. But I just can't hold it anymore.